What's up, nerds? Welcome to Chapter 4 of the Unvaulted Podcast. I am your host, Squatingdog, and my friends call me a bot because they did the 100 crown win in 1 day challenge and I did not. But I'm actually pretty happy I didn't because I'm married and I'm enjoying that season much more. Anyways, welcome to Chapter 4, and I am accompanied with the poorest of takes PM, unraveling, unbreaking, breaking down, reviewing, and talking about the new chapter of Fortnite. So, without further ado, PM, how we doing?
I'm doing as good as you can do. Obviously, personal life updates, but I think things are looking up. I'm excited to get into the details of this chapter and good, bad, and the ugly, and all that good things. So, can't complain right now.
Cool. Yeah, we got a lot to talk about because a new chapter means a lot of new. You'll probably be hearing me say new multiple times. So be sure to have that new counter going in the back of your mind.
Take a shot of juice. Take a shot of juice every time.
So what we're going to do is we're going to break down the event, which happened, a very controversial event. And then we are going to talk about everything leading up to this chapter, what happened in this chapter, what's going on in this chapter. If you're new to the game, or if you're like, I might come back, tell me what's going on with it. We're going to dive into that, and then we're going to get into the good, the bad, and the ugly with our reviews of this chapter. So I think it's no surprise that if you were on Twitter at all, there were opinions about the event. If you played the event, you probably have some opinions of it, not because maybe the lore or the idea of the event was bad, but the implementation of that event, like how it was implicated and how it was like created. So we're going to break it down. We're going to talk about why that's controversial as well. But PM, let's hear your take right out of the gate.
Yeah, event. Everyone wants my controversial hot topic Skip Bayless take. I have a love for Fortnite events. Like I told you in your stream that I like to go back and actually rewatch the events leading up to the current event. I just think it's really cool to kind of like, I mean, I think we're at this point, especially with this time event, I think we're past like 2.5 hours of events total. Mm-hmm. So it's like really cool to watch this story build up. I didn't like it, but I didn't hate it. I think it's the true definition of mid.
Okay.
Like there's this saying that, it's almost worse to be mid than it is to be bad, because bad is polarizing. Like bad is like, oh my God, that is so bad, people talk about it. And good is so polarizing, like, oh my God, that's so good. But when you're mid, you're just forgotten about, right?
Yeah, I'm going to change it from good, mid, and
there
ugly instead of good, bad, and ugly.
Okay, no, good, bad, mid. Good, bad, mid. There you go.
Good, bad. Oh, good, yes. Bad, mid. Okay.
There you go. I just feel like this event, it had potential. It was very confusing. Mm-hmm. And as someone, I was in it with 8 of my friends because we had a Discord group and, it was 4v4 split. And one half was like, oh, we need to like do this. And the other half was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. This is ridiculous. Yeah. And it was like a back and forth conversation of us trying to help. And I think I could see what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
I just don't think it was executed properly. Sure. And I almost would wish that they would just drop the interactive experiences and stick with a television or a TV show type of, lore, where you just kind of give me a 45-minute show. You can throw some interactive in there. That's fine. But make Jonesy running around doing like voice acting and, having like give me a show to watch. And I feel like that would be a better event. And I feel like they just didn't do that for this one.
Okay. That's fair. I'm gonna blow your mind.
Yeah.
I'm gonna blow your mind. You ready for this?
Go ahead. Yes.
I'm gonna change your perspective a little bit. What if I told you that entire event was made in creative?
Like, so I'm assuming you mean the interactive part.
Yes.
I could see how someone that understands the the development side of it or the game creation side of it would really nerd out with that. But I feel like the general public, which is like 95% of the gamers that play this game, don't give it, don't care. And that
yeah, no, that's
I don't
fair.
know.
That's fair. I feel like that's fair.
If it came out that was UEFN, which is what they wanted, people to
which
call
it was,
that,
by the way, it was. Yeah,
that is super cool to hear. And like now that kind of adds a different perspective. But if you tell my friend that who didn't understand it, he'd be like, okay, like he'd be like, all right, I don't.
Why did it suck?
Why did it? Yeah. So to me, that does sound really cool, and that shows me that this is going to be an awesome piece of technology.
Yeah, for sure.
But I love the lore. I love the shows. Stick with that.
Sure. That's a fair take. I feel like to most people, it's probably, well, I don't care who made it or how it was made. I just wanted to play it. Like my squad, for example, all 4 of us had an issue. 2 of us had to stop streaming and stop playing because they couldn't do anything. Like we had a strafe issue. Like John was like, could only run left and right for some reason. My screen went, when the trailer hit, it went black. And then I got teleported to the small island again by myself, but I could hear everything else. And then like Tax just literally had to leave. John had to leave. Headshot got kicked out early. And then we had to get her back in before the event started. So there was like, to even just do the event, the process was not smooth for us. And it seemed like that was fair amongst a lot of people. Like I had multiple people come into my chat. I'm here because I could not watch it myself or I could not participate myself. And so I think one thing that we have to actually like applaud Epic Games is that they are constantly innovating. And that innovation, there's a cost to that. There's a cost to innovation. And that innovation here was, we're going to use UEFN to create this thing, this experience, and show what is capable. We're also seeing that it's a very new thing, right? And new things a lot of times are broken and have issues.
It takes time.
Complexities. And, they are pushing content out at like such an incredible level that nobody is keeping up. Like no one can do that. So we have to applaud them there. Unfortunately, with the amount of hype of a new chapter, you cannot screw it up. And
especially
unfortunately,
this late into their, run.
Right. And so I think that's the bummer part is like, if the event had gone smoother, I think they would have seen a lot more hype for chapter 4 than they have currently. Unfortunately, what they had to deal with was a bunch of people arguing about how it didn't work. And so that's what they're going into for the new chapter. So that's kind of a bummer. Like you're setting up your like ramp to kind of be lower. So you're not going to go as far in terms of hype. But all to say, like the power of UEFN is really exciting, and I think I agree with you in the sense of like, I don't know if I want UEFN events. We have sound series and stuff like that for people that really like it. But I think I like the interactive experience in an event. Like I like that. Like I like to be able to move around in a story and drive the story forward. But I don't need, a bunch of kids trying to knock me off the course while I'm doing things. I don't. I don't know if I need that as much. But I did like the parts of the event that I loved was the flashbacks kind of showing all of the things that happened. And then the idea of bringing in the chapter 1 map, bringing in the chapter 2 map, bringing in the chapter 3 map, telling that story, because I do think there is a lore issue in Fortnite. If you were to ask a majority of people that probably don't listen to this podcast, a lot of them would probably be confused of like, what the heck is actually going on? Yeah. And so I think they were trying to address that as well. Like, how do we tell the story of Fortnite to somebody who's new or somebody who might be jumping in on that hype? And I think they didn't do a great job on that, unfortunately. I think it was confusing. There was a lot of objectives. It felt like chores, like fun chores that we didn't need to do those chores. It was like going to a friend's house and somebody was like, hey, can you take out the trash. Like, I guess, yeah. I mean, like, I'll do it, like, since I'm here. But it didn't feel necessary or like super exciting or something that was of value. It felt very minuscule in its like delivery. And you didn't have to do anything. It didn't change the outcome necessarily. So I think like that's kind of, we're just sitting in a waiting lobby for the trailer is kind of what it became, which is a bummer because we like events and we look forward to these things. So all in all, I feel like it's very obvious that the community was not too stoked. I'd probably give it like a 60%. But like with that in mind, like what we said, like I think Fortnite, we know what they were trying to do. It's just unfortunate that the technology failed them. If this had gone smooth, I still think we have the chore issue present of like, great, I did some random person's chores while I waited for a trailer. Although I think they could have cleaned it up a lot more and made it more impactful in the story through that avenue as well. So I'm excited to see what's next. And hopefully they take this feedback and they mix maybe a little bit of both, right? We have like the trailer side, but you can control your character and move it forward in the story. Because I do think there is like an involvement there that makes it more significant than just watching a movie or a trailer. Because that's what we have YouTube for. Why would we play that? Just press play on our game rather than participating in some capacity.
Yeah, I think the best interactive event thus far was the Marvel one with oh boy, what's the big guy? What's his name? Why am I blanking on
I call him Big Hat Man, but Galactus, I think is his
Galactus,
name.
Yes. And that was arguably the best interactive event they've ever done because it tied into like what actually was going on.
Yeah.
I could like, I really did appreciate the fact that it was like you were building this island and you noticed that the 0 point at the end of the day was always going to be the center and was always going to try to keep this island together. And I think that was like really cool to see. I thought the flashbacks were really cool as well. It's just something wasn't right about it. It was almost like you mentioned, they use it as a testing ground for UEFN, and then they just kind of left it at that. There was no explanation on you having to do things. You just kind of got plopped on a map, and it was like, go ahead. And you were like, go ahead with what?
Yeah.
And then, I had some, like, one of my friends could see, like, random, like, stuff of, like, stars across the map on, like, his little compass thing. And, like, he was like, it says I can interact with this, but I can't interact with it. And it was just, it was very buggy. And then out of nowhere in that waiting lobby, there was, like, 40 people that showed up. I don't
Oh, yeah. That was how they did that. The lobby combiner. Yeah. Essentially, it was like, let's not put everyone together just in case it crashes. Let's put them in slowly, and then that was kind of why.
Yeah, and then I noticed that there was like volume icons popping, and so I thought it was like proximity chat. Yeah. And so I was like trying to go in there, but it didn't work for me for some reason. But it almost looked like proximity chat, and I was like, oh, that's gonna be cool if they bring that in. But that was fake. So mid is the best way to put it for me. Just mid.
Sure. Yeah, I think like all in all, like the direction they're moving with it is hopefully going to be exciting. It's just a bummer we're not there yet. It's getting pushed back. UEFN is getting pushed back another month, which we never knew at the time until he told us, and now it's getting pushed back again. But and
I would expect it to again get pushed back. Like I wouldn't be excited for it to show up in January. I would expect it like a March or April.
Maybe. Yeah, I
just feel like they're never set in stone on those kind of things. So
yeah. If I were to do an event, hear me out on this. Just picture this with me.
Okay.
What do we do a majority of the time we play Fortnite? We drop out of the battle bus and we just play a game. Mm-hmm. What if there was an event where we're just playing a game? We don't even know the event is happening. You can eliminate somebody, but when you get eliminated, you go to the spawn island or whatever, or you go into this holding cell where you're like imprisoned or something. And then the event is like, take the mech as an example and the monster. The mech and the monster are actually fighting while you're playing. the game. So like the mech shoots a laser beam and takes out a full POI. If you are fighting in that POI, you're wiped.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's that integrated where you're like playing an actual map, you're building a tower, and then the monster falls into something, everyone there is dead. And then you in the holding cell can see from a different vantage point. And so then the mech frees you out of the holding cell, but everyone that was on the island was completely destroyed, right? Like, like it would be cool if they integrated it with the actual map somehow, like where it's like, I'm just loading into Fortnite, do, and then all of a sudden a mech shows up and just starts like destroying things. Like that would be really fun to have that level of engagement.
It's possible too.
I think so, but I think that technology is I mean, we'll see. But I feel like that's a direction I would love to see. I love the story and I love the lore, but like I said, we have trailers. Those kind of help with that. We have in-game stuff, and then we have these events. And the events, I think, should be an integration of all things to make it really exciting and fun for players.
We technically have seen that, and they could do that from the Cube. You remember when the Cube first showed up, like there wasn't like get ready for our update in 2 days, the Cube's gonna be here. People were literally just playing the game, and all of a sudden the lightning strike like hit, and then a Cube appeared. Everyone was like, what? Like there was an infamous Ninja and Lupo clip where they just were right next to it happening, and they were like, did you just see that?
Yeah.
And he was like, I have no idea what this is. It's like they are capable of just dropping things randomly in the game. Yeah. And I feel like, that would be so sick if it was like, hey, the event's happening Saturday, but they didn't give you a time.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then you just like or like, not even that the event is happening Saturday. Like you're playing in the game and all of a sudden there's like, like Neo Tilted, how there was like these signs that appear. There was like a countdown timer that says like, 3 days until the apocalypse, 2 days. And then you were like, why does that keep showing? But Fortnite doesn't like announce an official time. And then you drop in on Tilted and all of a sudden something happens. I feel like that, yes, numbers wise, you might not get the same amount of excitement as like, getting a set date and getting people in there. But I feel like long term, more people are going to be like, oh my God, that was insane.
Right.
Like watch the replay. You can't miss this next time kind of thing. So we got a little delivery.
Yeah, I got a coffee handed to me and emergency just in case we're traveling soon. So
thank you,
babe. So I think like the hype with that would be difficult to manage, like in terms of like getting people to play the game, play the event. But yeah. All in all, it seems like it's fairly unanimous that it was a mid experience, especially if you lost somebody in your squad while you were playing. Like such a bummer. But we waited 12 hours, which is the quickest turnaround of a chapter we've ever seen.
Is it?
I think so.
It is? Yeah.
Well,
I'm trying to think of 2. I feel like 2 to 3 was pretty quick.
2 to 3 hours?
No, sorry. Chapter 2 to chapter 3.
Oh.
Was pretty quick as well. I think that was an overnight.
No, I think it was more. Yeah. I think this is the quickest.
Okay.
With maybe chapter 1 to chapter 2. No.
Yeah, chapter 1 and chapter 2
that was long.
Like
3 days.
2 or 3 days, something like that. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure this is the fastest. Like I think it was 24 last time. But either way, like we're here, chapter freaking 4. We're stoked. I am absolutely stoked on some of the design choices and some of the things that they've done to create a foundation for what's new. And this is like how I think it's important for listeners to look at new chapters. A chapter is a foundation of things that we are going to build on top of, things that will happen over time. You have to kind of like bring your brain to that type of thought because it's not a season. A season is the building blocks on top of a foundation, which you can change and move. But the foundation itself needs to be structured in a way that is helpful for all seasons to be nourished and growed on top of. Growed, that's not a word. But one of the biggest foundational piece is that we are now in Unreal Engine 5, which is a powerhouse. The next gen visuals are absolutely insane. If you crank up your settings, it's glorious. And I have found a way, like as a content creator, to kind of find that mid ground where it's like not mid in the sense of how we're using it today, but like in the sense of like I could get good graphics and good performance out of it, which
Yeah,
I think is spectacular. But it takes some tinkering and figuring out how to do that. And if you're on PlayStation, the new PlayStation or new Xbox, like it is just beautiful to witness. So be sure to check it out. Like in that respect, like definitely make your computer blow up for the sake of making it look good for a few frames. But it is glorious to see how they are integrating so well with some of those technologies to give us a beautiful sense of the game. Which, like, I know people were arguing, like, bring back Chapter 1 graphics. It's like with this one,
did.
It did, yes,
Yeah,
yeah, in a very charming way, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So be sure to check that out for the least bit. PM, do you have any thoughts on
I would
the graphics?
So I would love to have thoughts on the graphics. The only problem is I can't seem to run it, like actually sustain any FPS above like 15.
Really?
I have a 3080. I have a really decent CPU. Things have run great. The one caveat is I do have a 4K monitor. It's a 4K 165 hertz monitor. So
Yikes.
Natively, it'll run 4K. So my 3080 is not going to be able to handle 4K. And when I try to go, 1440p, things just go completely sideways and things just don't work properly. So I'm like, I don't even care. So I'm a super sweat. So I'm all about FPS. Like, don't get me wrong. I am obsessed with these visuals. Like, I love Minecraft. I think Minecraft's a great game, and I like shaders in Minecraft. Sure. This reminds me a lot of the shaders with the wind blowing and the shadows and the grass, and I think it's visually absolutely stunning. But until I get that 4090, I will probably not mess with it because I just can't sustain it. So
sure, yeah.
I would good recommend. On them. I think it's incredible, and I think it's just another example that Epic is just going to run things in the future. They're just doing a great job. So
yeah, it's a good foundation for sure. Also, we have a 20% smaller map than last season, which is interesting. So that's going to be another thing you'll notice is we had talked about like, hey, just like put 200 people on a big map. They're kind of doing it differently where they're making the map smaller so that 100 people is really, really working well in the sense of the flow of where to drop and getting into fights pretty regularly throughout the entire thing. So they kind of looked at, I think, how games were being played and just like shrunk it a little. Yeah. And it doesn't feel that way, which I think is really great because we talked about this on the pod, like I thought that they were going to bring a zero build map to the new chapter where it felt like it was for, taking cover. There's cover everywhere. And it is exactly that, where they essentially the 0 point grabs different realities. So as the 0 point destroyed the map or, the Herald tried to destroy the map, the 0 point wiped it all. And then called forth all of these different realities, right? And so the 0 point, essentially, what we got to witness this chapter through the event was the accumulation of how a new map is created in Fortnite, which is really cool. And so it brought together all of these kind of 3 different biomes. Like we have a ice biome, and it's kind of shrouded in mystery because like it's Christmas time. So I'm sure there'll be a Christmas POI eventually, Christmas stuff in that area. That's going to be coming this next week, which is really exciting. And then Lush Forest, it's kind of like just these, kind of like a more modern take where you have like a bowling alley and like apartment, a farm, like those types of like I would say more normal to us in our reality, and then a futuristic night reality, which is like kind of like in this like you got your oranges and reds in the trees, and then you've got castles and all sorts of fun stuff with that. So those are the 3 different kind of biomes that were grabbed and placed together, but they're kind of disjointed a little bit. So we've got that going on. And then, like I said, the 0 from a 0 point or a 0 build perspective, like it's fantastic. Like so much, so great. And then from a building perspective, it's less great because in the sense of you can get yourself into some weird corners and stuck in different areas, but still adds quite a bit in terms of like mobility and whatnot. So yeah, that's a very exciting addition to this map. It's not flatscape like it's always been, where it's just like literally all flat. It's like cars can get stuck, and you have to know how to drive, and all sorts of interesting mechanics just to keep the flow of the map the way it is. So I'm pretty excited about the map and their design choices. It keeps games fresh, and you're fighting pretty consistently throughout the entire 20 minutes.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of one of my favorite areas in Chapter 1, which is the Shifty Factory tilted side of the map. So the whole left side, where there was a lot of hills, a lot of, terrains, and it wasn't just flat. Like, there was a lot of things going on. Similarly, in Chapter 2 with the Meowsicle's place. I don't know if you remember that, like, with the weather station, that kind of area. And then I feel like Chapter 3 tried to do that with the Rave Cave and places
Rest
like
in
that.
Peace.
Yeah, but it just didn't work out. And so I feel like they just committed to making this entire map that kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Which I really do appreciate. I haven't explored the full thing yet, but I will say there is one section that's very weird. If you go to the snow area, there's no snow on one section.
Yeah.
Which is very weird to me, but I guess there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
So, but I can't wait for the Christmas update. I can't wait, and hopefully the map is full of snow. I think that's one of the best things they ever do. So,
yeah. And what's interesting is it's just this chapter reminds me the most of Chapter 1.
Yeah.
Because in that chapter there was a night vibe. There was like a fresh perspective. It felt really new because you had never experienced Fortnite before. So you had no context for the POIs or anything. And that's essentially what we got. We got no returning POIs. We have remnants of stuff. So we have the Rave Cave head that fell onto the island. And we have a tilted tower, which is just one individual tower in the middle of the ice cave. We have some things, but they're not like full POIs. None of that. Everything is new. Literally every POI is new. Everything in the game, like from mobility to core weapons, is pretty much new. There's a few returners, which we'll talk about, but a majority of what you use in the game is brand new, and that makes it feel the most like Chapter 1 because you got new. Yeah. So, and that's hard to do from like a development standpoint, like to redo everything, and, mechanically there's a lot of similarities, but like to redesign a pistol again and again and again, or redesign whatever it is.
How many shotguns are we on now?
Yeah, seriously, it's got to be 1 million. But a lot of people, how you're going to be moving on this map, which I think is really important to talk about. There's a lot of new mobility. And when I say a lot, I mean, I think that word, I don't think there's a lot of mobility. Some people are like, wow, there's so much mobility in the game. I really don't think, you have to think about mobility a little different if we're talking about mobility this season. There's dirt bikes, which are great, but you're going to get beamed pretty easily if someone sees you. So, but you have the ability to kind of, move and groove and do flips and stuff. It's a fun mobility piece.
I wish they would change the reverse mechanic to it.
Oh, sure. But I mean, that's not how a motorcycle works, I guess,
Yeah, but I feel like when you're in action and like you hit a tree and like someone's chasing you and you're like, I have to reverse. It's like, okay, hold on 1 second. I need to.
I've died multiple times because of that.
Then all of a sudden you're dead. It's like, okay.
You have to get out. That's kind of like how it works. If you are stuck,
especially
get
in
out.
no builds. Yeah.
But I was playing yesterday and I was Epic gifted me the Hulk, and I was calling it Hulk on a bike, and I essentially massive Hulk, and then I would bring a rocket launcher and I would zip by somebody, rocket them once, zip back around, rocket them again, and then shotgun them in the face. And I was killing people like that. It was nuts. It was so funny. But so dirt bikes are here. It's exciting. You can have 2 people on the dirt bike, and they can, the person in the back can dance. I know you care. Then we have a thing called sprint vaulting, which I want to be very, very cautious of. If you are up very high and you sprint, essentially anything that is like one, like if you look at a build, how it's 3x3, if anything is 1x3 on the map, you will just sprint and jump right on over it. So imagine being on the top of a castle, really high up, and you decide to sprint because somebody jumps up there to fight you and you have low health. You can fly right off that castle and die. So be very, very careful how you use it, but it is very cool in terms of like you don't get stuck on things like you got stuck on in previous chapters where like if there's a barrel or something, you're trying to run really quick to join your friends and you have to go around that barrel. This time you're just like you're just flying, which is great. Yeah. So that's really helpful for the mechanic. We also have slurp barrels or slap berries.
Yeah,
slap berries, slap juice. Yeah. And that is like essentially like lower health. So you don't get a lot of it. I think it's like 15 or something like that. 5 for a berry, 15 for like a drink. And you have unlimited sprint until it runs out. So you can sprint longer and faster for a long time. So if you're running by a berry and you see one and you're full health, you could still eat it and get that attribute, which is really great. So it's a different type of mobility. We still have vehicles like cars and trucks and boots, so they can be booted, which still sucks in my opinion. But the biggest, I think, mobility that you'll be seeing is the shockwave hammer, which I've talked about on the stream a lot. It's pretty much if you have a hammer, you're going to be fine. If you don't, you'll probably die because you can use impulses. There's impulses, which aren't shockwaves. They're impulses, which are the very short, skips.
I've had friends die to that without knowing it this season, or this chapter, and I don't tell them ahead of time, and it's actually hilarious. So,
oh yeah. It's really memey. It's so fun to eliminate people with those, like your teammates. But the hammer is incredible because like what you can do is you can it's like got a massive shock rock on it, which this season is kind of like showing where that's from, how it's from. I call it Kevin bits because they're like, it kind of looks like Kevin. I don't know if it is or not lore wise, but it looks like there's a mining facility that pretty much like chopped up Kevin into a bunch of pieces. And they are now creating these hammers, and you can blast the hammer at the ground and it'll send you flying. And you have 4 hits until you have to wait a few seconds for it to rejuvenate itself. And then you can slam somebody, and if you slam somebody, you can do a little bit of damage, but that slam is also really tough because if you slam and they don't go somewhere, they're just looking at you with their shotgun and you're dead.
Yep.
So you have to be really careful how you use it. But a lot of people are just using it for the mobility piece because you can get out of a fight, you can get into new cover. It's really easy to bob and weave with that, and will be a primary form of mobility. I think it is in competitive right now, and it's wild. It's absolutely nuts.
And
so yeah,
there's someone who's again working there and says, does this cause chaos? And they're like, cool, throw it in competitive, let's see what happens. So
yeah, for sure. And then there's
like your real quick, I do like your chopped up Kevin thing.
Oh yeah, I think that there's a mining facility chopping them up.
Did you see that leaked video of what the deleted scene was?
Yeah,
in the event where the mothership blew up. I think that might be related to that.
Maybe
like because you know from the chapter what was it, one of the chapter 3 events where the entire mothership was filled with them.
Right.
Like it would make a bunch of sense if that blew up and became fractured. And then that, those bits and pieces started flowing around and kind of, dropped it on this island. So,
yeah, it would be interesting. And then the last mobility piece is launch pads are still around. And then that chopped up Kevin piece, there's these like purple cubes on the map. You can actually use them for transportation. A lot of people don't know this, but you can pickaxe them a few times and then it charges the cube. And then if you jump onto it, wherever you were pickaxing, the direction is where it'll fly. And so I've gotten some pretty fun clips of me blasting myself to space. But yeah, check that out. But that's all mobility. But it isn't like, I don't know. We've had mobility seasons with the Dragon Ball Z Cloud. We've had seasons with the grapple. We've had seasons with like a bunch of things to move. This does feel like if you don't have a hammer, you don't really have mobility. So it's worth mentioning that we'll probably see a hammer per person end game. That's probably what it just naturally will look like, because those people were able to survive death that way. Yeah. Okay, so that's mobility. And then, of course, we've got a bunch of new weapons this season, which is very exciting. They're going for this like futuristic knight situation. We've got the hammer, which we talked about, and now there's a gun called Excalibur. And essentially what it is it's a sword on a gun. So you shoot swords at people, and those swords blow up. So think like Klinger grenade, but one that is like a sniper, essentially. So you look around, and if you shoot somebody and you hit them, the dagger is in their body, and it does like 50 damage, I think, to a body, and then another 50 for the explosion.
Yeah.
And then 75, I think, headshot, I think.
Yes.
But it totally like is super fun to use, especially when you hit somebody, because you watch them run around with a massive dagger hanging out of their body. And then we've got some new shotguns, which I'm not particularly stoked on, and I'm trying to think of like what the balancing mechanic here is. I think shotguns have been overpowered for a long time, and Fortnite's still trying to wrestle with how to make them less intense. And a lot of times their answer for that is SMGs, just making SMGs stronger, which in a build mechanic situation is just a spray meta, which isn't fun for a lot of people. So I think what they've done with the shotguns now, they have a shotgun that shoots really slow, does a lot of damage, and one that doesn't do a lot of damage and shoots very fast, much like the tac pump situation. Except they're just worser versions of that. The SMGs, I feel like, are still pretty powerful, and it seems like we're going to go back to a spray meta as it is currently. But the new pistols are gnarly good, like so good. And they changed it to where the reason why I never ran the pistol would be I would have a shotgun, I would shoot somebody for a good chunk of damage, and then I switched to my secondary, which is either an SMG or an AR. But if I had a pistol there, I would press the button because ARs and SMGs would shoot automatically. I would shoot the pistol once.
Yeah.
So I'd be like, boom, and then I'd be ready to finish, and then I'd just shoot him with a one pistol bullet, and then I would be confused and be like, oh yeah, I have a pistol. But now pistols, when you click and hold, it just shoots all of the rounds, and it's glorious. It's really great. So I would highly recommend trying pistols if you haven't used that in current or past seasons. Now is the time to do it. They're really fantastic. We got a new AR. It's a red line or a red dot sight, which is really fantastic. Really great far range. So no snipers this season, which is crazy. We got bows and DMRs instead of snipers. DMRs, yay. No one cares.
Yeah, wow. Everyone loves DMRs.
Bows are back. Night season makes sense. No snipers at all, but this AR shoots really, really well from far distance. They took the red dot and made it even smaller, so your accuracy actually matters. And then we also have the old... Wait, is it an old AR? Wait, what's the other AR? It's the combat?
The Scar. We had the Scar.
Oh, the Scar. And then they ruined the Scar. The Scar's kind of lame now.
Yeah. Well, the Scar's always been lame. Like, let's be honest with you. Like, or honest with everybody, the Scar's been lame for the fact that the bloom is just stupid.
It's pretty bad.
It is. And going from the red dot and then like even the MK and even the burst with the red dot.
Yeah.
Like, I always thought my aim was just bad when I had a Scar. Like in the earlier seasons, I was like, wow, I can't hit anything. And then you get an MK or a red dot and you're like, no, I can actually hit this shot. It's just the Scar is telling me I can't do it. And
especially if you play any other video games where you're using red dots and you're like, wow, I can hit stuff. That translates over to Fortnite really easily.
Yeah, and it's the most frustrating weapon, and they massacred it because it used to be so special. Like, think about like back in chapter 1, if someone had a gold Scar, you would be like, I will trade you all my weapons for that gold Scar. Because that gold Scar was everything. And nowadays you see a gold one and you're like, like, okay. Well,
yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see this balance because I think this is how I run the Scar instead, right? If it's close game and I'm not super far away, I think people are going to start taking further picks at people in this map because there's so much really great cover and like height in different random areas. So I think a lot of people are going to be camping up and firing from afar. And so I think the red dot's going to kill it there. But if you're in a close range fight, you have the shotgun that hits hard but shoots slow, and your secondary is that AR, you're going to be in some trouble. Because you'll hit that first shot just great with the shotty. You'll switch to that gun, and that gun is a little bit more difficult to do close range. Mm-hmm. So if you don't have an SMG, you're like just rocking double heels, hammer, and then that AR. You're going to be in trouble. So that's where the SCAR, I think, outperforms, is if you have a heavy-hitting shotgun and a SCAR instead of an SMG. Close range fights, you're going to do a lot better than long range fights. Mm-hmm. So I think that is the one area in which I would be like, yeah, SCAR feels more balanced. So I wonder if that's kind of the direction Fortnite's trying to get us, is having us think about where the zone is and what to do in that type of arena, right? Are you going to be taking close range? No, probably far range. So prioritize those. I got to sneeze. And then, wow, it disappeared. Great. Thank you, podcast. And then if you're in a closer range, maybe you switch out your weapons, which I feel like we don't really have that type of mentality in Fortnite yet, where it's like, ooh, in this situation, I'm going to change my gun. Like, I feel like it's typically you're just looking for your ideal loadout. I think Fortnite would do well to create moments where it's like, don't need shotguns or something, like how cool would it be if that was the game where it's like it based off of the circumstance and scenario, you switch out your loadout. Like that would be kind of crazy. And with the reality augments, I feel like that is more of what we're seeing, which is a new feature that Fortnite's adding. And essentially what it is, randomly, you get 4 augments, but you one at a time, obviously. So like 5 minutes go by, you get the first one. 2 minutes go by, you get another one, so on and so forth. You can use your gold to cancel the ones that you have and get new ones. So if you don't like the augments that you were given, you can cancel it with gold. So you spend 100 gold and you can blah, 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 go through and try to find the ones you like. But there are some really sick things added. So for example, you just got shot up quite a bit. You have no heals, which is always me. There's an augment that lets you get health in a bush and fast. So I could pull up that augment, have like 12 health at the time, scared for my life. And I can pick, gives you health in a bush. I can go find the local bush, chill in there, and I get 150 health in like a matter of like 10 seconds, which is crazy. So there's these game-changing things that are very situational, right? So like I'm on the far edge of the map. I see a far zone. I can get the augment that gives me unlimited gas for my vehicles. It's not a crazy game-breaking thing. It's super helpful for the circumstance that I'm in. And so that's how I think we are starting to move in Fortnite, is situational helpfulness and items that are situationally minded, rather than I need my pump shotgun, I need my gold AR, I need my hammer, I need my 6 splashes, whatever it is, right? Like I feel like that's where our brain goes, where I think they're trying to evolve it a little bit with these reality augments.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree with that. Anytime I see, it's the Bush Ranger is the name of it, I think. Bush Ranger. I immediately take it. I like most of them. I also caution Fortnite to not get too similar to Call of Duty. I know a lot of people in including myself, gravitated to Fortnite early on because they didn't have these aspects of the game. They didn't have loadouts, they didn't have perks, they didn't make you have to like study certain mechanics in order to like be better than the next person. But I do think if you can include ways to like do the Bush Ranger or show the next circle or maybe give you more first shot accuracy, and then again, someone is listening to this podcast in making changes, because I remember episodes ago I said it would be so cool if they could find out how to recycle ammo, so you're not just wasting ammo if something else needs it. And they did that. Like, okay, cool, you're out of heavy ammo, you can use medium ammo with this perk. And I think that is really cool. As long as they don't get too too complicated where it's like, oh, like we all know weapon attachments are coming. Like that's going to happen. Just don't complicate it. Don't turn it into Call of Duty where people need to sit there and build a gun to make it better than the next one. Cause I feel like that's gonna remove a lot of the player base who just comes into this casually. But I do like what they've done so far with the perks. I like that it's and like every minute or two it like recharges. So it's not like a skill thing where you need to go out and get like 10 kills in order to get a perk. So it's more fair and even.
But what I like about it the most, and I think this is where the future of this game will probably be going, is they used to have all of these features in items. So if you wanted to see where the next storm is, you would have to have a storm scout weapon or talk to a person on the map. Gold. But the person on the map is in one place. Like, well, I'm not going to drop there strategically to know where the next circle is if my normal drop spot's somewhere else. So what they're doing, and I think this is genius, is they are testing new features. You can just make it a reality augment to see if it's good for the game. For example, rebooting. I can't tell you how many times I have died at a reboot, man. It is the worst. The timing is just 10 seconds is a lifetime in Fortnite. And
wasn't it shorter when they first introduced it and then they upped it?
I don't know, actually. I don't know.
I thought it was a lot shorter when they first introduced it.
Either way, I'm dying at that freaking reboot, bro. And here's the deal. Like, if I have a perk that when I'm playing with you, I can reboot faster, I'm getting that perk. Because if I'm playing with PM, he's going to go down. I'm going to take.
Are you insinuating that I'm dying that often? Okay, all right.
I'm going to take care of him by rebooting him quicker when he goes down and goes off by himself to go fight somebody that I'm nowhere near. Like I can just quickly reboot you and save your life faster because I have this perk. And Fortnite can implement that perk, right, and test it, right?
What about because perk it's like that a perk. You don't need to grab their card,
right?
It's
right,
like a
exactly.
Perk where the card's automatically like in your storage area.
But do you see how we're thinking right now? So we're thinking in perks now, and then Fortnite can implement a perk that is going to be coming in a new season just to test it to see if it's a good feature and people like it. They can get that feedback in real time in the current meta in the game, and then implement a feature that is really helpful down the line to evolve the game. And so I think like this is like the sweetest of spots. Like I think the perk system is going to help build the game out very healthily. So like the combat AR, there's one where you can spawn a combat shotgun and AR. You can bring in any gun in the game.
Yeah,
anyone
out of nowhere,
like a chug cannon out of anywhere. And I think like that is the beauty in the perk system. There's one that's really bad. It's like automatically gives you balloons, but you can't control when the balloons come. So you're just playing the game, and then all of a sudden a balloon just goes bloop, and you're like, oh, okay, I guess I have a balloon now. And then like it goes bloop, does it again, and then all of a sudden you have 3 balloons, and you're just in the sky.
Chaos machine. Someone on there was like, how does this make chaos? And there you go.
But it's like they have the perfect testing echo chamber for their game now that we all. Like there's new perks coming. They said that there's new perks coming for the Christmas update. So we'll have probably Christmas perks like throw snowball or
launcher
ice feet or whatever. Yeah. And so that's really exciting. And that's a really cool way to think futuristically for the game, which
I think we all can agree that they're probably going to bring self-revive in. Like that's eventually one probably in the next season or two. Where
what if it's just a perk?
Yeah, you're knocked and you get a perk that's a self revive and you can use that. I think that's coming in very soon. So those kind of things are really cool. I actually think it's going to be awesome to see the Christmas one because I do think that's going to be a lot of fun. Like I would imagine the snowball launcher is an item you can get, or the snowman, ice traps maybe. That kind of thing. I think that's going to be super exciting. So
there's one that's leaked that's like called Midas's Touch, where when you use your AR or eliminate somebody with your AR, you get more gold from them. So it's like
Yeah.
Literally the endless in what they could like bring us. And I think like that's going to be, it's going to be really good for the game. So yeah, that's Reality Augments. We also got a new battle pass, obviously. PM, what are your thoughts on the battle pass? I know we have some people out there that are listening that are like, is it another tier 100 Marvel outfit? No, it's not.
No,
this time.
Nope.
But what are your thoughts?
My favorite emote now, I don't know what it's called, but it's the one with the 2 fingers down. I cannot stop playing it.
So good. It's so good.
I was telling my friends I'm so happy. Like a lot of the emotes, especially like the guy on the skateboard too, when he's like moving around, I feel like they went back to how the OG emotes felt. You know, like there was a time between chapter 2 and chapter 3 where it was just, hey, any TikTok dance, let's just make it. Yeah. And it was like cool. Like the first 3 were super cool. And then it was like, okay, cool. Another TikTok dance. Okay, cool. Another one. All right. And then another one. And it's like they almost lost their originality. But I feel like with these 2, like especially those 2, it's like, okay, these are super fun. Yeah. And I cannot stop doing whatever that emote is in the lobby. Like I cannot stop doing it.
Oh, it's such a good song. Every elimination, I'm using it for sure.
It's incredible from like the facial expression to like the moment. Like it was just it's just fantastic. So that's great. I'm not a big fan of the skins. I will say that. I'm not sold on them completely, but I also just am a sweat who doesn't like a lot of the skins.
Yeah, this is a bad question for you.
Yeah, that's not really a great question for me, but I do. One thing I will say is they updated the UI of the battle pass to kind of look like the OG one, where it moved linearly, horizontal, where it was like boom, 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 boom across. Like, it still has the pages, but it looks like the OG one, which I really do appreciate. So I don't hate it. I don't love it. It's not mid, but it's good. So
I think it's great. I think it's some of the best cosmetics we've seen in the game, personally. The tier 100 is freaking insane. Like there's a emote where he like pounds the ground and his armor goes chink, 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 like Iron Man, and it's freaking so cool. And then we've got my biggest critique is we don't have a meme skin this season. No meme skin. What the heck? Yeah. I like when they add like some stupid outfit added to it for some reason. It's funny. Like, there's what was pancake.
The one last year of we've like had a hamster inside the character for some reason. What was it?
Hamster. Oh, the bear. Yeah,
the bear. Bear. Yeah.
It's like they're like, why not? Like throwing. But we have 3 outfits that look very similar to each other. Actually, there's like 3 girls, and all of them kind of have a similar vibe.
Can I say one thing? Whoever at Epic and runs the skins that has a crush on emo girls, like we need to switch things up here. Like all of those skins look exactly the same, and we need to move on from that. I mean,
if iTalk was here, he would be like, no, dude, more emo girls.
It is. There's so many of the piercing, tattoo, fishnet, like choppy haircut look, and I'm just like, okay, can we get something a little different, please?
Somebody just likes Billie Eilish. Leave him alone.
Apparently someone does.
Leave him alone, dude. Okay, and then battle pass, I would say probably one of my favorite battle passes. I think it's totally worth we still don't know what's coming. We got the Doom guy in it as well, and then which I guess could be the meme, and then we also have the Witcher as like the bonus hidden one, and then a bunch of like stuff that still to be added that we don't know what it'll look like. So I'm excited for it, and I think it's like each of the 3 girls kind of evolve into a different version of themselves. There's like this really cool. I think Dusty is her name. She's like a baseball vibe.
Yeah.
And she kind of evolves into like this like ghost version of herself or something that's like looks completely different than her. And I love that. Like I think battle pass outfits, especially if they're like gold tier or legendary, whatever, those should have different things that you can change and adjust and make unique and special. It shouldn't just be like one outfit that like doesn't change at all. So I think with the battle pass stuff, they did a great job of evolving the skins in like some really cool ways. And I hope we get more of that because it's like they're so talented. The people that make outfits in Fortnite, they're just so freaking talented. and I love it all. I love it.
Yeah, and we get it. You like Billie Eilish. Let's,
I'm a fan of Billie. A few other things worth mentioning that are in the chapter 4 that are worth talking about, I think, is New Spawn Island, which is just kind of fun. The battle bus, like, it's a rocket ship, and it like boosts off the island to go to the island. We don't have any. I brought this up on the pod. It's still a straight line. Battle bus driver, not a hard job. Very easy job. You just press gas and you're good to go. And then we've got a flag system in the game, which I don't like currently. I think maybe they'll make some adjustments on it. But the reason why I don't like it is it takes a minute to raise a flag. Here's what I think should be changed to make it good. Like, so you just essentially go into the circle and then a flag gets raised. Classic mechanic in any video game. But once it gets raised, loot pops out of the top and then you get some loot. The loot isn't that great. So that's my first critique. It's like, I'm sitting here for a minute. I'm not getting rewarded for it. Not worth. My second critique is if I have a teammate that comes and joins me, you would think that it would go faster. It does not. Second complaint. Third complaint is nobody really knows that I'm standing on the flag. So I feel like increase the loot, make it more valuable, but then also let alert on the map or something that a flag is being raised so you know where people are. So if you're a sweat or you're somebody who wants to push people or you want to engage or you want that loot, you know about it, at least in a proximity or something. Those are my 3 critiques of it, but there is a flag system that are in a majority of named POIs. So if you're looking for one, just go to a named POI. You should be able to find a flag and some extra loot and heals. And the last thing is the wind tunnels in the ice area. There are, like, at the top of the mountains and then like kind of through the cracks, there are wind tunnels and you can jump in it. Just think like, what were those things in previous seasons? The wind turbines that you can go through, those tunnel things.
They had them at Rave Cave. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the same thing except natural, I guess. And you can fly around and kind of have some mobility there as well. Trying to think if there's anything else added core mechanic wise or unique to chapter 4 outside of the things that we had already mentioned today.
Can't really think of any.
I don't think so. There probably is. I mean, there's so much going on, but we're going to cover the lore on an episode of the Unvaulted podcast at some point of like kind of what happened and what's going on with the map, what kind of lore mechanics are currently on the map. But you're going to have to wait a few weeks for that because I'm going to try to grab somebody who really knows their stuff and have them join us to have that conversation. But let's give our final, I guess, our like initial review, right? It's only been a few days, so we have to keep that in mind.
Plus the event. I feel like we could include the event with it too. So
sure.
Close to a week, yeah.
So let's talk about our good, bad, and mid. And mid is worse than bad. So
mid is worse than
mid
bad.
is ugly, essentially. For 2 p.m. So let's start off with, what do we do? The worst or the best first? What's the most clickbaitish?
Let's do the best. I feel like the worst is always the clickbaitish.
All right. What's your favorite thing?
The map. I feel like you and I can agree on that. I think the map is super cool. I'm a nostalgic person. I really want chapter 1 back just because I want to be able to land on it again, you know? But I do like the fact that they didn't include any aspect of any former chapter with this map. Yep. I think that is really cool because, again, it's like a whole new game. I'm exploring this area. I don't know where anything is. And I think that is super cool. So I'm going to go with map for my first one.
Yeah, I agree as well. I think that's their strong suit here. I agree with the statement of like, there's not one POI that we know. So we're exploring everything for the first time. And I also really, really like the idea of the map or the 0 point kind of grabbing different things. So like, I think there are leaks about the Doom character having a creature that's his glider actually apparently can also be an AI. So there's speculation that there might be a clump coming from Doom's side of things that lands on the island and has those creatures populated, like this devilish, like Doom evil area, which would be something we've never seen on the map before, like kind of like this like hell on the island or something. So potentially, I don't know how true that is, but potentially that could be an option, which is kind of like a cool idea to think of the island as something that could have things coming to it and being thrown from it. It's a great way to freshen up some stuff. And then The Witcher might also have some sort of tie with some of that stuff as well. So very curious to see what the season will look like with the map. My guess is it'll be very exciting. So yeah, map is probably my favorite, and it's my good for sure. What about bad? What's bad?
I have a few bad. Of
course you do.
I know, right? I think one of the bads that stands out to me is I'm trying to think of which one I want to prioritize here. I think mobility is a bad right now. I do love the hammer. I do love the motorcycle. I do love those aspects of the game. I feel like, and maybe this is where the perk system will come in, they need one or two more items to really make mobility great. Like builds right now is very frustrating for a lot of people with the hammer because of that cooldown, where if you miss, you're dead. Like that's it. Like you don't have enough time to build, you can't hide, someone's just gonna shotgun you, you're dead. With a shockwave launcher or a shockwave, that's not the case. I did like the throwable launch pads. I wonder if they make launch pads a perk in some way where you call it and like it's a launch pad, or like maybe like a launch tower, kind of like where it's a launch pad with the launch pad where you can go even farther. But I feel like they're just missing one or two more mobility items in general. And so for now, I'm just going to say it's bad. I think the hammer is fantastic. I love bouncing around with it. I just don't think it's enough for this game at the moment.
Yeah, that's good. It's a good take. I think my bad has to do with the hammer. And this is typical of any chapter or season, is the bugs that accompany those things. So the hammer is great. Like, honestly, probably the best weapon Fortnite has ever created. I love it. It's so fun to use. It's like so rewarding to get an elimination, and it's a great mobility tool. But there are moments. So when I use the hammer, I'll bash once, fly, and then slide naturally to get as much distance and speed as possible.
Yeah.
And there has been multiple times where if I slide and pull out an AR and scope to shoot somebody, when I stand up, my reticle goes low to like my crotch.
Yeah,
and
I've had something like that.
See anymore. Or there's the screen shake where like I'm still sliding really fast, but I'm not. Or there's moments where I'm like stuck in an animation with the axe or the hammer. There's a few things that have gotten me killed with it too, where like if I miss a hit, I'm just standing there with it in the ground, which is one of the consequences from using it. But it doesn't do enough damage to where I feel like I deserve that amount of time, if that makes sense. So I feel like the cooldown could be maybe adjusted just a little bit on that, but there's a lot of bugs with it right now, and I'm excited for those bugs to be worked on and changed for the new update, in hopes that like it's just becomes a really clean experience to use it. It's always a bummer in this game when you pick up something that you're excited about and then you don't want to pick it up anymore because you're worried about a bug. So I hope that stuff gets addressed. So that would be my bad. What about mid or ugly?
Well, I got one more bad that I want to throw in. Lack of snipers. I think they need to stop removing snipers just in general. Like they love to do that. The heavy sniper is my favorite thing in the game. I get that you don't want to keep that for builds because people can abuse it, but I was really enjoying the sniper from last chapter. Towards the later bits, obviously, I hit an insane clip with you.
I check out my TikTok for that. It's beautiful.
Exactly. I do love the snipers. I don't mind the bows. I just think I would never grab one willingly. I will always drop it if there's another option. I like the shockwave bow doesn't shoot me far enough. The fire one is great, but it doesn't do enough damage right away. And the stink one, is such a tight quarter for how it actually affects anybody
Yeah.
that you have to like fire 12 arrows at one box just for it to even hit like for 5. And
Yeah.
I feel like that just doesn't make it worth it. The explosive bow is okay, especially if there's like a build battle. You can fire one and it can hit like 4 different people. That's cool, but I would much rather just have a sniper. So I would say that's my last bad for that.
Yeah. I feel like bows take a getting used to. Apparently you can one shot with a bow in builds, not in zero, but in builds.
Too much time to load up, and like by then the person's gone. Like I love quick scoping. Like I like pulling it out and quick scoping.
Sure.
You just can't do that with the with the bow.
Yeah, I wonder what they're going to do with the bows. I hope that they innovate a little bit because, I mean, Primal season for me was my least favorite season of Fortnite's history. And so the bows were the best part about that season, the Shockwave bow in particular, because that was your one mobility piece, really. But yeah, I'm curious of how they can mix that up or make it feel unique to a new season where it doesn't feel like, oh, you're just throwing that in there just because it's a primeval season or something. All right, mid or ugly. For me, this revolves around one perk and one perk only, and that is the balloon perk. So the perk system works like this, where they're hidden from you. So if you ever see a perk that says new, you want to click on it, because if you don't, you might not ever have it pop up again. So if you so you want it in your rotation system to get out of your rotation system, essentially. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so make sure you always click the new one. So I'm playing an arena game and the balloon one pops up. I'm like, well, guess I'll try it. So clicked it. And the fact that you can't control when your balloons come out has to be the most frustrating thing. And so what I had to do in my 1x1, I had to jump, cancel, and like the balloon would disappear. And then I'd get in a fight, and then a balloon would go bloop. I'm like, oh my God. Like jump and be like, it was just like a nightmare. I was not having fun. But if you are in a meme mood, which I wasn't at the time, you can have 3 balloons go off and you can hammer up into the skies and do with the spin move, and you will be spinning in the sky. I think Laserbeam did this video where he's just up in the sky forever, just spiraling up. So if you're into that, great. But for me, it was ugly. It was mid. I'm not. I think you should be able to control when the balloons come out. That would probably be more of a superpower. It feels like an unfortunate power. It's like essentially like if the Human Torch couldn't control his powers. He'd just be at school and then all of a sudden combust and burn the whole school down. It's like not helpful, not great. So I think like being able to control in perks, it would be a benefit, but that one currently is not the way it's.
Yeah, that one gets you.
What about you? What's mid?
I'll fire off 2. One, the shotguns. Okay. I don't hate them. I shouldn't say I don't hate them. I think it's better than the lever. I think it's better than the charge. I think it's better than those type of guns. I don't get why they can't. Actually, this goes for every gun in this chapter thus far. I don't know why they can't just stick with what people like. Like the pump is fantastic. The tack is fantastic. They basically recreated them with a different skin, a different sound, and a different motion, and it doesn't feel the same. Like that's kind of the issue here. Is like when the pump comes out, you're like, cool, pop, and it has that big explosive sound, and you're like, yeah, that's cool. And then you get this other pump shotgun, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna come from the bottom, and poof, and you're like, all right, that doesn't sound as satisfying. Like you don't have to make the pump hit for 200. Like you can control that. Like you don't need to make a whole new weapon to be like, oh, this is a weaker pump. Just make the pump weaker. Like you don't need to do that. And so I feel like I'm just going to keep saying every shotgun is mid until they bring back the pump and tag. Just purely from a ASMR standpoint, where hitting someone with a pump and knocking them is more satisfying than pulling out a lever action or pulling out the new Maven one and hearing that sound. So
you're ridiculous.
But
you know that? I'm going to look on your tweets to see if you were like using the hashtag double pump or die.
No, speaking of perks, before I get to my next mid one, HypeX tweeted that they should make the double pump shotgun a perk. like make it a perk that your shotgun your swap time is faster. And I'm like, that's not a bad idea.
No.
Like that, obviously there needs to be some
I am sure
it,
that if somebody at Epic is working and they're the balance guy, they hate your comments.
No, that's what I'm saying is I agree.
They're like, how do we get people to use SMGs, pistols, or literally any other gun in the human history of our game? Yeah, and you're like, just give us the pump back, man.
No, don't give us the pump with like the 200 headshot damage. Just like it's something about the motion in your hand and the shot. It's beautiful. Like
you're clouded by nostalgia.
Ears.
You're clouded by nostalgia.
But like,
give me your second one, PM. This is a bad take. This is a poor take, PM. Speaking right now.
Second one is goth skins. We just talked about it. I am so done.
I'm leaving. I'm out of here.
I am so done. Like, it was so cool to begin with. Don't get me wrong. You're like, oh, that's edgy and cool. Now it's getting to a point where it's almost a little creepy, where it's almost like the people working on it have a type and they really want their crush to know that they like them. Like, it's getting a little weird. We need to pivot away from these specific skins. Like, I was looking at on Google, the skins in order, and it was like, oh, ranking them from like 10 to 1. And the 8, like what the 8, 7, and 6 were like, oh, because there's 3 different variations of punk skins, we're just going to throw these 3 in here. And I'm like, why do we have 3 of the exact same type of skin and not for anything else? So it would be like if Jonesy had 3 different skins each battle pass. People would get pissed. I mean, people get upset about what is it, the Snowbell, right?
Yeah.
How that keeps coming back and getting a new variation, which is fine. Why, like, keep the same energy for the punk skins? I'm so sick of them. It's so unoriginal at this point. Just find something different is all I'm saying.
Yeah, they could have been more inclusive with what they look like in terms of like different backgrounds. Yeah. But I think what they're thinking in their mind is their evolution status. So if you look at all 3 of their outfits as they're in their final form, if you will, all of them are drastically different. However, where they originate is what you see originally. And I do think that is like unfortunate that they're all kind of similar looking, unfortunately. But yeah, I don't know why that would be you're ugly, but that's fair for you.
I think I'm just fed up with it. Like, I'm just...
I can't wait to get iTalk on this again and just have you guys battle it out about goth skins, because you guys would just go on for hours.
I'm trying to remember when this started. Like, when did this wave start? Of
somebody new jumped into the team and they're like, I love goth girls.
Yeah, and then just ran with it.
Where's our goth guys? I need all of the hair on one side, black eyeliner, wants to kill everyone vibes. We need that guy. Give me
some variety. Give me like a Legally Blonde look. Just something different. Give me something different.
Get Barbie in here.
Exactly. Give me something different. Barbie would be a sick skin. Honestly, if that's a collaboration you want to look out for,
imagine
Barbie and Ken would be sick.
Be hilarious. Not gonna lie to you. And they're all plastic. It would be great. Their hands just can't even move. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Well, PM, this is a good conversation. I appreciate you chatting. If you were to give, as a whole, the season a percentage, if you were to give it a review, if you were a teacher, and this is based off of all of the other seasons and chapters we've played, what would you give this season, Chapter 4, Season 1? What grade would you give it right now, which is only like a few days in?
89%.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
It's not an A.
Uh-huh.
And I think because... one, it's buggy. There's a lot of issues. That's like if I'm grading a math.
It's like spelling errors.
Yeah, it's like spelling errors. It's like, okay, cool. It's like stuff you can shore up in the future, but for now, I have to mark you down for it. Especially if you're a multi-billion-dollar company like Epic Games is. Like, come on, we can get that going. 2, I thought the event was just really bad, and I thought it took a lot of the hype out for me leading up to this chapter. Sure. I was very excited about it. Like, I was like, oh my God, they're actually going to do this now. This is so cool. UEFN is cool. This is great. And then I just remember feeling post-event, I was like, I don't even really want to like see the spoilers right now. Like, I kind of just want to go do something else. Like, I felt like almost disconnected post-event.
Sure.
as opposed to the the black hole one. I was like looped in. I was like, oh my god, what do these numbers mean? Tell me what these numbers mean. The chapter 2 to chapter 3 one, I was still like double checking things, here and there. But this one felt like I just had this disconnect. But the map is fantastic. The loot pool in general is pretty good. There's If I were to complain about it, I would probably be in a bad place in my life, so I'm not going to complain about it. There's just a couple of things they miss, which is why I don't give them, the hardcore A, I would say.
Sure. I would probably give them the A. I'd probably give them like a 91 or 90. Like, as in, you did really good. You hit most of your mark. I want you to see that. There's still stuff that could be fixed and changed. So I'm kind of similar, close to where you are.
Mine's more tough love.
I typically give my grade based off of like, okay, what does this mean for new content? So I think my grade would be kind of like dependent. Like, that's why it's like not a final grade, I would say. Like, I want to see what this season looks like as a whole. Like, how do they use it? How does it evolve? We know there's more things coming, probably through the perk system. I hope it's not all through the perk system.
Yeah,
which I have a fear that it might be. I feel, well, not even, it's okay if it's overloaded, but like, don't make that be your only thing for content in the game. Like, that's what I'm worried about that might happen. But yeah, so 90, 91, somewhere around there. But if it's just going to be perks, that's the only thing that they do to update throughout the seasons, it's going to drop for me, which we know we have the Christmas one coming, which is usually a big deal. A lot of free stuff coming through that. Speaking of upcoming things, there's a few teases that Fortnite has posted on their socials. Mr. Beast being one of them, which we talked about actually on this podcast and called, which is awesome. But Mr. Beast does a lot of, like, gives free stuff to people all the time. It's kind of his vibe. I'm curious if Mr. Beast will be a free skin in the Christmas thing, is like maybe the final thing or something like that, because my guess is he would want to give away his stuff for free because of that. So given that the Christmas event is a bunch of free cosmetics, it just feels like it would fit really well.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe not, maybe not.
Santa's helper in some way. Like, how like Santa was driving around in the last map. Like, what if Mr. Beast was like right by him as like
that'd be pretty cool.
That would be pretty cool too. So
yeah. So Mr. Beast is coming. Hulk, I just got from Epic Games, which is releasing today, so by the time you're hearing this podcast, Hulk will be released. My Hero Academia, another anime, which is really cool. A lot of people love this anime, and I think will be very popular. And then the basketball player, what's his name?
Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Yeah, so he's getting his own icon skin as well, which will be really exciting. Yeah, so I feel like they've got kind
How
of
are they going to do his skin? Because he's like 7'1".
Well, I mean, if you look at Patrick Mahomes. I said his last name. I'm so bad with names. He got a weird, style too. So they might do like a suit version of him. They might do like an athlete version, and then they might do like a fantasy version.
Let me call it now. They're going to do they're going to do his jersey version. So with LeBron, they did the Space Jam one.
Yeah.
They will do a jersey version with his logo. Like, that's just him hyping himself up. It'll be like the basketball skin with the shoes and his look with the one leg sleeve and the shooting sleeve, but it'll have his logo on the center. And then I bet you they're either going to make a Buck, because he plays for the Milwaukee Bucks. Oh. So they're going to incorporate some form of antlers, maybe as a back bling or something like that. Or they're going to tie into his Greek background, because he is from Greece. And he's very proud of that. So I could see them doing a skin that's dedicated to his Greece background.
That'd be sick.
Those are my calls right now for the two variants that you will see.
My guess is they're gonna push away from like the Buck thing, because what if he ever plays for another team, and then I think they're going to do more background stuff or things that they love. Like Patrick has ketchup on his suit. Like he loves that. Like that's his thing. So I think they'll probably more prioritize those things rather than the league itself type of thing. That's my guess.
Yeah, I think
I would hate to be associated. Like if I was a streamer, right? And I'm like, I only played Fortnite and I made myself have a big Fortnite shirt on it, but then like I stopped playing Fortnite, like that would be a bummer, like to be, I don't know, like still, I guess, I don't know. It just seems different
the problem
to do that.
Because his nickname is the Greek Freak. That's his nickname, is the Greek Freak. So I feel like they're going to play into that where one of the skins is going to be named the Greek Freak, and it'll have some sort of Greek tie-in.
I can see that.
He's definitely going to have a basketball variant. Like he will 100% have a jersey look to it. I just feel like they're going to have to. It's probably going to be the color of the Milwaukee Bucks, which is that buck green. That's probably going to be what it is, but it'll have the logo of his personal logo on it instead. He loves Milwaukee. He won them a ring. He's very committed to that city, and they love him back. So I wouldn't be surprised. He's a very family oriented man. Like his two other brothers play in the NBA too, and one of them plays with him. It's Giannis, Thonis, and then like some other one. It was just very Greek names, but That's cool. all play in the NBA, and so he's very tied in, and he has a Disney Plus show about it. So it's, you know, he's all about his family, and I feel like they're going to find some way to incorporate that. I don't know what else they would do. There is a very viral meme that is very lewd in nature that he had come out a long time ago with the red button. Maybe they could play into that where he has an emote where he presses a red button. Like I think that would be kind of funny. Like obviously it wouldn't have what the red button says, because it was a live video of him like pressing it in front of his wife, and like his wife was like, "Come on, like are you kidding me?" But I could see where they could have a funny moment where he has a red button and he goes like this and he like taps it a bunch of times. So
that's funny.
I could see that, but
that's good. That's good to hear that. That's funny. All right, well, that's it for this podcast. It's a long boy. I mean, it's new season, new chapter, big deal. Yeah. But thanks again, PM, for being on it, and for being on this chapter 4, season 1 of the Unvaulted Podcast. It's exciting. We're going to try to get into a better cadence of this. It's the holidays right now, so it might be a little hard, but me and PM are going to try to link up and try to at least do this weekly. We get that feedback all the time. Like I feel like on my stream, people will be like, come by and be like, why isn't there more of these? And we're like, sorry about that. We're not the most, I would say, organized, the two of us combined. And then also getting a guest on, it never lines up when we would like to do it. And so it's always really hard. And then we want the podcast to premiere at the same time every week, you know, hopefully like right before the weekend, so people have some time to listen to it and whatnot. But we're going to try to figure that out. Maybe
and we also recorded at like 8 a.m. Pacific, so a lot of people aren't even up at that time. Right. So it could complicate the situation. So
totally, But we hear you, and we're going to try to figure it out. Of course, if you love the podcast, don't hesitate to engage with us on the Unvaulted Pod on Twitter, or me, the Squatting Dog, or PM. Oh, it's PM. So we'd love to have a conversation about that there. Until next time, I'm Squatting Dog. This is PM. We'll see you later, nerds.